So we've talked a lot about Project 2025 here on the channel and what it would be like to live under an administration who used that as their blueprint. But what you got to realize is I'm living right here now in blood red Tennessee. And I know people from all over the world is watching what goes on in Tennessee because I get messages every day from people who has noticed the rise of fascism in our state. They've saw what happened with the Tennessee Three. They've saw how our governor and how our attorney general have conducted themselves. They saw exactly how extreme things can get, and they reach out and say, man, I really feel for you guys down in Tennessee. I've had people from all over the country say it. I've had people from outside the country say they're watching us here in Tennessee. Well, if you're watching us here in Tennessee and you're horrified at the way things go here a lot of the times, then what you need to understand is that what you're seeing now in Tennessee is exactly what it would be like if it just swept the entire nation and every state had to live the way we do here. Luckily, though, we have the Tennessee Three of the best voices out there. We have Justin Pearson, Gloria Johnson, and Justin Jones, who have some clips for you here to watch. He's always on point. He always speaks the truth to power, and we're so lucky to have him here in Tennessee. Take a look.
Talk to young people. You don't hear a lot of young people excited about the other side of the aisle, about Trump and his campaign, because it is about this mythology of what America once was, and not talking about what we can be, and making this nation a nation that we can inherit and give to the next generation. I'm 28 years old, the youngest in our state legislature, and I don't want to see a fight where my sister has to fight for her reproductive care. I don't want to live in an America where we're banning books, but we won't ban assault weapons that are terrorizing our schools. That's what I'm seeing in my state, and if we don't stop this movement, that is going to be nationalized. Tennessee is a preview of what a Trump presidency would look like for this nation.
Now, I have people ask me all the time, Brando, do you think Tennessee could ever turn blue? Could we ever flip it? Well, folks, there's definitely a lot of work ahead that we have to do. And one of the ways we can start is by just simply speaking up and speaking out. And if you're not in a position where you can speak up and speak out, then share videos and share information and, let people know what's going on so that they can make a better decision. We want people to make a more informed decision. I think a lot of people here in Tennessee just get stuck in this rut of, well, we're going to go red no matter what, so what does it matter? Why does my vote count? We can't think like that. If we're ever going to turn things around and get us going in a different direction, we have to believe in ourselves first and foremost. And so I've had people say to me, well, it ain't really going to matter if I'm going to vote or not because we're not going to change the election one way or the other. But folks, we have people right here in Tennessee that needs your vote. We have a movement going on right here in Tennessee that needs more fire under it so we can get them over the finish line. And we need Gloria Johnson to take the Senate seat from Marsha Blackburn. That would be a huge step in balancing the insanity that's here in Tennessee. But let's let Justin Jones just keep on cooking.
Well, and let me ask you a little bit more about, as you talked about here, the Tennessee Three, as you are known. House member Gloria Johnson is in a race right now to defeat incumbent Senator Marsha Blackburn. Do you feel like there is enough momentum to flip that seat there right now?
I mean, there's so much excitement, and I've really been focusing at the state level because we want to break the supermajority. When they expelled us, it's because they had a supermajority, so they were able to abuse their power and take this unprecedented step of kicking us out of the legislature. And what happened the very next day? We thought we were kicked out for good, but Vice President Kamala Harris came down immediately the next day to stand with us, calling for democracy, saying that this is an attack on our democracy and we must fight for common sense gun laws that protect kids and not guns. So what we're seeing is a lot of young people running. We have a mother who lost her son in a mass shooting running, who just won her primary, who's running for state house. So we're changing the face of power, and it's going to go from the state house to the White House of what this nation can be.
You see, folks, we do have momentum in Tennessee. We truly do, but we have to keep that momentum, and we have to get underneath that momentum and push it on over the top. And we can't think just because we're here in Tennessee that our voices don't matter. They absolutely do. And there are young people out there who are energized right now more than ever before, and they're starting to see through these things. And to anyone out there who's asked me, well, how do you go about talking to your kids about it? Because I've got 2 kids that are going to be able to vote this go around. And people have said, how are you talking to them about it? Well, it's simple. I'm bringing it back to how the decisions that's been made here in Tennessee, which a lot of it is a result of Donald Trump's presidency and that type of extremism. I explain to them how that their rights got taken away, and I bring it back to them. You have to bring it down. You just have to whittle it right down to the point. And you have to honestly just get brutally honest with people and say, like I've had to say to my daughter, hey, the reason why that you don't have the same reproductive rights that your grandmother had when she had your dad is because of Donald Trump. And you have to make them understand that the government here in Tennessee is modeling themselves exactly after Project 2025. So when someone says, what is Project 2025? Well, guess what? If you're here in Tennessee, you're already living under it. You're already having to go along with it. And if you're looking into Tennessee from another part of this country and going, God, I don't ever want to stop there, well, then you're going to have to vote or it's going to come to your state too. And that's just me being brutally honest. But I love this next clip from Justin Jones because they asked him if the Tennessee 3 was a little bit too performative, which I think is a totally bullshit question. But of course, he answered it so eloquently. Take a look.
Changing the face of politics. Now, let me ask you this. There was some criticism from Republicans during this Tennessee 3 that it was a bit performative, what was done. And we are hearing from voters right now that it can't be about talk. We need action. We need real policy, and we need to know how that policy can be fulfilled. In fact, I spoke with voters that said, no more broken promises. What are you hearing from constituents and delegates about how Democrats can actually fulfill some of the plans that you're hearing from Vice President Harris?
It's going to take doing things outside of the ordinary. When we went to the House floor, it was not without having tried other things before. They shut off our microphones, so we had to bring a megaphone to lift up the voices of young people, lift up the voices of our constituents, saying we don't want to go to school and deal with the terror of mass shootings. So it's going to take boldness. What we saw from this administration is the first Office of Gun Violence Prevention with the Biden and Harris administration. We saw a civilian climate corps. We see young people's demands being met, and we must continue to do, these bold, progressive, movements forward. That's what we want to see, and that's the excitement we're seeing here. That's what I'm hearing from young people, that they know that this administration that will act, and we must continue to lift up these movements that young people are leading, because it's really young people leading. I just saw the North Carolina delegation. They have more young people than any other delegation here. Over half of their delegation is young people my age.
The youngest chair ever, right?
The youngest chair. I've talked to some folks from Mississippi, young people, particularly from the South, and I just want to say that as we go forward, let's not neglect the South. North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas. The South has something to say, and that if we want to change this nation, we have to change the South. And so,
you see, folks, a young black man said, don't ever underestimate the South. Now, that might not have meant something to a lot of you in different parts of the world, but here in Tennessee, that resonated with me. That was a very powerful statement for him to make. Because I wouldn't blame Justin Jones one bit if he had said, you know what, to hell with Tennessee, I'm going somewhere else. No one could have blamed him. But he has stood and he's fought the good fight, and he sees that there are good people here fighting that good fight. He sees the momentum, and he's willing to stick around here and get in the trenches and slug it out. And you have to admire him for that. When I heard that, I got chills, because so many times people does write off the South. I get it all the time. People don't like handing people from down here a microphone because they're afraid it's going to be the type of rhetoric that comes out of Trump's mouth. And I don't pass judgment on anyone who has done this to me, but I can't count the times that I've had messages from people who said, I kept scrolling past your videos and wouldn't stop because you looked like some redneck biker to me, and I thought you was going to be ranting about Trump, and I just kept going. When I first sat down to do content like this, I realized I was going to piss a whole lot of people off in my part of the world, and part of me said to myself, well, do I need to take off the bandana? Do I maybe need to wear a long sleeve shirt and cover up the tattoos? Do I need to have a different name other than Tennessee Brando? Is that the best name to have in this situation? I thought, you damn straight it is, because not everybody here in Tennessee is an asshole. And just because some of us likes to dress this way and get these kind of tattoos and play our guitars with a twang does not mean that we're a racist, homophobic asshole. And so I think we can work and we can flip that script, and we can show people that, hey, just because Tennessee may light up red in November, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but yeah, it's probably going to, that does not mean that we still don't have momentum here. That still don't mean that we don't have a growing base, and that still don't mean that we don't have people here who are excited to get behind people like the Tennessee 3. I am so proud of them for standing up for the truth. I'm so proud of them for representing us, because for far too long, we have just been made a mockery of on television. I mean, if you get on Twitter and scroll down that dumpster fire, you just see one redneck after the other just spewing the most ridiculous garbage. Anytime a comedian, and I've got a lot of comedians that I love that do this, and I'm not trying to, throw any shade at them. Some of my favorite comedians, if they try to dumb down a character, will automatically go into a Southern accent. It's just something people do, and I get why they do it. Characters on television shows from the South always have the most ridiculous, over-the-top name. And country music television, don't even get me started on that shit. It's just one big, clusterfuck of Southern cliches just all circling around, and it's pathetic. And it turns a lot of people off, and it makes a lot of people look the other way. But I feel like if we keep speaking the truth and we keep standing up for what's right, the more we do that, the more we can flip that script that, hey, just cause these people here from Tennessee does not mean that they're uneducated, and it doesn't mean they don't care, and it doesn't mean that they're not willing to get in the mud and fight if they have to for the truth and stand up for people. If we don't stand up for our children and we don't stand up for our neighbors, who's going to? Who's going to if we don't do it? So yeah, when you look around and you go, man, it'd be hell to live under Project 2025. Well, we're already doing it here in Tennessee. And we want to see change. We don't want to see Donald Trump come in and cap it on this whole nation. That's what we don't want to see. So let's keep speaking the truth to power. Let's keep standing up for our neighbors. And like Tim Walz said at the DNC, it's not about whether we would agree with their choices. It's not about it whether or not we would have made the same choice. None of those things are relevant. None of those things are relevant. Because when you're standing there trying to make sense of why we had another senseless school shooting, at that particular moment, are you really thinking about who's the Republican and who's the Democrat? Are you really thinking about that at that particular point? Or are you really thinking about what decision they made in their doctor's office at that particular point? Are you thinking about it then? So let's stick together, let's work together, and let's flip this script to where when people comes to Tennessee, they look forward to it. You know, to where they want to come back again, and to where they say, hey, you know what? They're not all like the television portrays them. They're not all as terrible as Donald Trump has made them out to be. There's some damn good people right here. I know so many of them. And it's more than just blue dots, okay? We use the term blue dot, but there's way more of them than you would ever imagine. And so let's just keep doing the good work and fighting the good fight, and we'll get there.